An honor to be with you this morning as we come together to launch the OAG Academy, an idea that we conceived 3 years ago and is now actualized in partnership with the Kenya School of Government. This journey was preceded by the signing of the MOU, as was communicated earlier by DAG Mwangi, and the MOU laid a foundation for a legacy of impact, innovation, and integrity in public sector auditing, and formalized our partnership with the Kenya School of Government. Head of Public Service, the Office of the Auditor General and the Kenya School of Government have a long-standing partnership. As I was whispering to you, many years back, long before I became Auditor General, I used to be an adjunct faculty member. I think they still have my name on their file, but the job requires that sometimes I delegate some of the invitations. We provide facilitators, and they also provide facilitators for us during trainings. And we've had this symbiotic relationship for a long time, and it was important that we now formalize it. And especially to ensure that, and I'm saying this openly, that we push aside the briefcase trainers and facilitators that I would say pretend to know public finance management or pretend to know public procurement, and they go and train our clientele both at the national and county government levels, the wrong things. Then I go there and I'm raising issues, and we are in loggerheads, because when an auditor is auditing and raising an issue and the client is saying, but I was taught this, and we ask them, who taught you? And they give you a name and you ask yourself, how did that person become a PFM specialist? So what we are doing now is ensuring that it is done by those who are practitioners within the public sector ecosystem. We are operating in an increasingly changing environment. Requirements by our stakeholders in public sector accountability continue to change. The government, on the other hand, is also developing and upscaling mechanisms for meeting the needs of our citizens. And this therefore calls for auditors who are future ready and well-equipped to address the current realities. It is no longer business as usual, even for the audit professionals, head of public service, and for us to ensure that we keep abreast, or we even are a step ahead of you, so that we give relevant and implementable recommendations. Then we have to continue upscaling ourselves, and we have to ensure that we also leverage on technology. So it is our expectation that the Academy will promote research, innovation, and knowledge sharing in public finance and audit, and develop a community of practice through conferences, workshops, and forums held jointly with the Kenya School of Government and the international and regional audit organizations, as it provides an alternative to holding such initiatives in private hotels or in other countries. Indeed, currently, as the team that was introduced to you, we are conducting a regional performance audit course out of Nairobi with facilitators from Ghana, United Republic of Tanzania, Namibia, and South Africa, and they were introduced earlier. Such courses, Head of Public Service and Professor Nura, ladies and gentlemen, will in future be hosted here jointly with the Kenya School of Government, and we believe that this will not only minimize costs, but will also ensure that stakeholders can also participate, learn, and share their interests and requirements during the sessions. The Academy aims to build the capacity in public sector audit and public finance management for the staff of the Office of the Auditor General and other key stakeholders, serving as a center of excellence in public sector auditing and financial oversight. It is our expectations, again, that we say that we will do a lot of research, as was demonstrated for you, because we know that leveraging on information, on technology, and researching on issues, then we are better auditors. There's a better meeting of minds in terms of the issues and the challenges that affect us as a country, both in economic delivery, economic development and service delivery, and then we'll have jointly framed solutions on how to ensure that indeed the Kenya we want is achieved. We have worked jointly with the Kenya School of Government to develop the curriculum that is tailor-made for both current and future auditors. We have carried out several intensive induction programs since 2020 and 2025 for managers, senior auditors, and audit associates. And with the partnerships, we now have an induction programs that are no longer the traditional 1 week. And I hope I can see the Vice Chair for the Public Service Commission and also Head of Public Service Commission. Induction programs in public service are not serious. You cannot induct somebody straight out of university for 1 week. They will not know much. They will get even more frustrated because there will be information overload, yet no practical knowledge on how to use that information. Ours is now a minimum of 6 weeks. We bring in them fresh to the Kenya School of Government with a curriculum that we have jointly developed. They go through the theoretical part, they go through practical part where they're actually doing desktop audit and giving us results before they even know where they'll be deployed. Then from there, on the day of graduation, which we normally are in attendance with the DG, it's when they receive their certificate and they receive their letter of deployment. And this minimizes frustration or stress in a new environment when they join the OAG family. And we hope, Head of Public Service, this can be replicated in other public service institutions. And that way, from the onset, when you have new staff, then you'll start seeing results immediately. Our staff require professional development that will propel them to greater heights and make them more competitive in the industry. And with this academy, we are confident that the Office of the Auditor General will be a reservoir of highly trained professional public sector auditors who can work and add value in any sector of our economy. You can take a staff member from the Office of the Auditor General and they can work anywhere because we are experienced and we are exposed to all sectors of the economy. An auditor can work in human resource, an auditor can work in engineering, an auditor can work even in a hospital. You might find that strange, but we have some of my auditors in the health sector are able to have conversations one-on-one with some of the highest trained medical doctors. And with this academy, I can assure you, Head of Public Service, that you can deploy our auditors, especially after retirement. Don't take them now when the workload is too high. After retirement, you can deploy them in any sector and they will add value, especially in public finance areas, in boards, in audit committees, and in finance committees. You will see a change. I want to go to why are we doing this? During COVID, we do a lot of peer-to-peer support between countries and auditors generals, and that's why today we have representatives from 3 countries within the African region. But during COVID, there was a slowdown in this because people could not travel, and there was a hit on peer-to-peer support because it's better to learn from those who've gone through the experience than to learn theoretically. But we hope that with this academy, we shall accelerate capacity development and peer engagements in areas that require interventions to cover the lost ground and to keep abreast with changing environments. And of course, Kenya now will become the go-to country for such training. Currently, Hops, I know you're aware, we go to South Africa where our headquarters is for the African Organization of English-Speaking Supreme Audit Institutions. I chair it from Kenya, so why not set up an academy so that we can give people options. Go to South Africa, come to Kenya, and go to another country for this capacity building initiative. So we aspire to improve the lives and livelihoods of citizens by conducting relevant and impactful audits. I want to speak to 2 areas which have come to be regarded as my pet topics over time. And I keep speaking of these 2 areas because they are the critical elements to real and beneficial change in governance, in transparency and accountability, in the use of and management of public resources. The first and most impactful, Head of Public Service, ladies and gentlemen, is that our audits can only be meaningful if the recommendations we give are implemented. Implementation of audit recommendations is one of the critical enablers of efficient, effective and sustainable development. We are therefore prioritizing implementation of audit recommendations as a key driver for improved service delivery to the Kenyan citizens. We launched a framework for tracking, follow-up and reporting on implementation in October 2022. We have been working closely with your office. Dr. Linda there is almost one of my staff. So I hope when I advertise and she sees a position, I hope she'll jump across. She keeps us on our toes. Which recommendations have you issued? What area have you worked on in state-owned enterprises? What area do you need us to look at? And that has helped, that close working relationship. We've worked very closely with the National Treasury, at the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, And we are also working very closely with the various constitution commissions and independent offices, and as needed with the investigative agencies, including the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I can see my good friend Abdi is here, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations too. Indeed, we have been able to isolate the recommendations made by Parliament on the audit reports after the hearings that require action by other constitution commissions, and we have communicated this for visibility and action. And through our assessment, we have issued 3 special reports on implementation. We are able to determine or categorize the various recommendations we issue into several broad categories: policy-based, legislative-based, investigative-based, prosecution-based, research-based, and administrative-based. And implementation requires concerted, collaborative, and coordinated effort. To a certain extent, where different institutions play their role and ensure that the chain of accountability does not break either within an institution or between institutions. The results of the assessments provide Parliament and the Executive with an objective review on how accounting officers of public entities have implemented audit recommendations. I have issued 3 reports with a total number of 1,113 recommendations. Of these, only 242 have been implemented, which is only about 21.7%. 19% are only partially implemented, and about 2% unfortunately have been overtaken by events and will not be implemented, which means we have to re-strategize on development and on service delivery. And this therefore leaves a total of 56% pending implementation. If no targeted action is taken on this dismal performance, then you're likely to see the office reporting the same issues again, and probably more serious issues, as we have unfortunately not learned from the phrase, "A stitch in time saves 9." And therefore, because action was not taken on time, there is more wastage of public resources, worse lack of value for money, and more losses due to either fraudulent activities or corruption, and delayed development and service delivery. Lack of implementation of recommendations from not just the Office of the Auditor General, but also from the constitutional commissions and bodies, from Parliament and the executive directives that are issued from time to time. If they are not implemented, things may become worse and require more time, effort, and resources to fix. Head of Public Service, we appreciate the initiatives and guidelines provided to accounting officers by your office, especially with regard to taking action on audit reports to ensure beneficial change and minimize subsequent audit issues through the Zero Fault Audit Initiative, and the currently recent dialogues and guidance on implementing administrative action to address irregularities committed by public sector officials, and the circulars that you've been issuing, re-emphasizing on compliance with various legislation, including affirmative action within institutions. Head of Public Service, every directive you issue, every circular you issue becomes an authority for us to follow up on and ensure that there is compliance. So even as we are working shoulder to shoulder with the PS Kipto, we are also working shoulder to shoulder with you as the Head of Public Service. Indeed, hopes our categorization of audit recommendations from the 3 follow-up reports, the PSC report for 2020-2021, the 24th PIC report for 2020-2021, and the first PIC report on social services, administration and agriculture, indicate that 88%, 83%, and 63% of the recommendations respectively relate to administrative action. That is squarely under your purview, and the recent initiative will ensure that there will be change. It would be important to have an internal team to carry out monitoring and evaluation for you to be getting feedback in a timely manner for corrective action. So as we launch this academy, we intend to focus on implementation of audit recommendations. And I know I've taken a bit of time on this because this is the only way we can see change. And hopes, yes, I do see change. And sometimes we report on this in the management letters. But because the audit report would be so big when you have both the positives and the negatives, you'd have 50, 40 pages. Sometimes we just report just the few exceptions. But I hear you. And moving forward, we'll see probably the team that is doing research on AI can also assist me in doing research on how do we ensure that we incorporate some of the gains made. So it is important that we'll work together with the Kenya School of Government, the CCIOs, the executive through the Office of the Head of Public Service and the National Treasury to actually determine the real challenges and, most importantly, the root causes of the challenges that lead to lack of action and more or less put us in a sort of an endless loop with no change. And I urge our clients, both at the national and county governments, to embrace implementation of audit recommendations as opportunities to build stronger and sustainable systems to deliver quality and timely services, and most importantly, to regain and sustain the trust of citizens. My second pet project is timeliness of audit. This I'll be brief. I continuously talk about timeliness, and timeliness of audit reporting is important to ensure that recommendations are relevant by addressing current requirements and needs of stakeholders and citizens, respectively. At this point in time, we have about 12,000 clients that we must audit and report on by 31st December of every year. And this is a task that requires support and cooperation from all our clients. I want to thank the National Treasury, the CS, and the PS, Dr. Chris Kipto, in particular for the support to my office, and the directive that you issued requiring all entities to submit their financial statements to the Auditor General by 31st of August for audit. PS Kipto has also been leading by example in ensuring timely submission and in chairing both the entry and exit meetings at the National Treasury. And whenever there's a bit of a disagreement or a bit of need for extra 1 or 2 hours to provide supporting documents, he will always call me and say, AG, I know you've given instructions, please from me to you, give us just 2 days. There's a document I'm trying to trace, it should be in my office. You know, he has many files and the auditors can come and verify. He takes personal responsibility. And head of public service, I hope in the meetings with other accounting officers, this is a message that can be given to those accounting officers to take personal responsibility. Because of that extra much needed month, as at this morning in December, 1st of December, I have issued 899 reports for 2024-2025 financial year to Parliament. This includes I was in the office yesterday, includes about 20 that I worked on yesterday afternoon. And hopes, this is 35% of the target. In comparison, this time last year, I had only issued 263, which was only 10.5% of the target. So you can see when there is a meeting of minds and an understanding and dialogue and communication, then there is progress. And that I attribute to Dr. Chris Kipto. We hope, of course, Dr. Chris, that we shall see this anchored in the Public Finance Management Act and perhaps give us another extra month so that within 1 month after the end of the financial year, we can be able to get the financial statements. And the conversation now is, can we get them in soft copy so that we can start our analysis and we take less time during audit and concentrate on strategic issues. We don't need to waste time on routine, balances and bank reconciliations. We look at the strategic issues that can support government in delivering development and service delivery, quality service delivery to the people. Actually, my staff are very excited about this because for once, they can foresee themselves spending the real Christmas time with their families. We celebrate Christmas in January, so you are alone there, the children are back to school, and people are wondering what's wrong with you. How are you celebrating Christmas in second week of January instead of the actual Christmas? So, to conclude, this academy will address the growing needs of specialized skills in public sector auditing and financial management and respond to evolving complexities of public finance and government's initiative for zero-fault audits through sensitization and training on action needed to minimize and resolve audit queries and ensure transparent and accountable management of public resources for the benefit of the citizens. We are taking zero-fault audit and we are saying it is about taking action. It's not about the auditor not reporting issues. It's about issues being reported, but you who has been reported having some issues that you've not addressed, addressing those issues so that next year they don't recur. And next year you find you've resolved so many issues that getting a good opinion. We'll have nothing to report, Dr. Chris, except the good. There will be no negatives. So we hope that is the interpretation. So the course to be rolled out will also respond to any changes in international standards of auditing and address the national development plans, including the priorities set out in bottom-up economic transformation agenda. I wish to thank again Professor Nura and the Kenya School of Government for working with us through this journey and giving us access to your facilities and your highly trained and experienced faculty members to work with us. You have indeed been very supportive. I thank the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service for the support given in ensuring audit matters are progressively being taken seriously, and the recognition that the work of the Office of the Auditor General is critical to economic development and sustainable service delivery. I appreciate all our stakeholders who have consistently given us feedback and supported the office. Together, whether from the public sector, private sector, non-state actors, development partners, media, together we can make a difference. I thank you.